All right, so we're going to do 25 together from the assignment. So 25 is y equals 3x squared plus 12x plus 5. Okay, so here's our quadratic. So what is the first thing that we are going to do so that we could graph this?
You want to put A underneath it?
Okay, so we want to write down what the A, B, and C are. Yeah. So what's our A value?
3.
So A is 3. What's B? 12, and C is 5. Okay, and now with those values, what can we find?
Whatever that is called.
The axis of symmetry, it's called.
Okay.
So x equals negative b over 2a.
So B is 12.
So b is 12, you're right. So what would negative b be? Negative 12 over 2a. So 2 times, yep, 2 times 3, which is 6. So this is negative 12 over 6, which is negative 2.
So you draw your dotted line or whatever.
Good, so we'll draw our dotted line at negative 2. After we figure out what number we get here for our axis of symmetry, we're going to put that axis of symmetry on our graph. And so we just draw 1, right here is negative 2. So just right at negative 2, you just draw your dashed line all the way up and down. Yep. And so next step, we have our axis of symmetry on there, so now we can make our XY chart. And what's going to be that first value that we plug in for x? Negative 2. So how do we do that? How do we plug negative 2 in? Yep, every time we see an x, we replace it with negative 2. So 3. Yes?
Mr. Thompson showed me another way to do it. You can put negative 2 like in middle, and then you can go up or down, because if you do negative 1 and then 0, it should be the same as the other two.
Yes, that is the other way to do it.
Wait, so
yeah, you can do it either way, but we'll do it this way for right now. You understood it that way? Okay. Yeah, there are 2 different ways to do it. So we'll do it this way, and then we'll do it the other way too. Okay? So 3 times negative 2 squared plus 12 times negative 2 plus 5. Okay, so now we just need to simplify this. So this is just numbers. You can put this whole thing into your calculator and get the answer out. That's fine. You can just plug that all in and get it out. We'll go through it step by step here though. Okay? So we start with exponent. So first exponent is negative 2 squared. So what is negative 2 squared? 4. So this is 3 times 4. 12 times negative 2, what is that? Go ahead, negative 24 and then plus 5. So what's 3 times 4?
12.
12. So we have 12 minus 24 plus 5. So what's 12 minus 24? This would be positive 12 because we first had to square that negative 2, which made it positive. Yep. So then 12 minus 24? Negative 12, and then negative 12 plus 5 is negative 7. So what does this tell us? What point is this?
Negative 2, negative 7.
Yep, and that should be right on our line, and that is called our vertex. Okay, so that's called our vertex. So once when we plug that value in and we get a solution out, that's our vertex. Okay? There's another point that we automatically know, and that's our y-intercept. How do we know what our y-intercept is? C. So your y-intercept is C. So according to our information, what is our y-intercept?
5.
5. So how can I put that 5 on the graph?
Get 5.
Just go up 5.
C.
C.
Oh.
That was part of the information that we just are given is that the y-intercept is always whatever C is. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think I know why you're confused, Cody, and that's because we don't have standard form written anywhere up here. Y equals ax squared plus bx plus c. That's how we got a, b, and c. So c is always that last number.
Okay.
Yep, and so now we know that we have this point right here. So what other point can we get? The one directly on the other side.
So what do those two dots mean? Like, what are you doing?
We're gonna graph. We're gonna use those two dots to help draw the graph in. We just need to pick one more point before we can graph it.
This is
So
gonna
what's
be
the whole point of the dotted line?
It's symmetrical. So everything on this side, on the right side, is the same thing on the left side. It's symmetrical.
That
Can be folded in half.
5
Yes.
is that going under y, like the
Yeah, you could put it over here as a point if you wanted to, but we can just put it right on our graph. So we're going to pick one more point to plug in here. So which point could we choose here? Or which one would be a good one to pick?
Where are you getting the places?
negative?
We look right here. This is our x-axis. So this is -2. We already have a point for -2 right down here. This is 0. We already have a point for 0. Do we have a point right there at -1? Anywhere up or down?
No.
No. So we can plug in -1, and that'll give us another point.
I'm so
Come back and help you. All right. So now, to figure out what this -1 is, we have to plug it in. So 3 times -1 squared plus 12 times -1 plus 5. So once again, if you have a calculator that has those parentheses, you can just put that whole thing in the calculator and it tells you what it is.
So pretty much,
Fine with me.
as
Okay.
long as it's on that dotted line, you can pick any number. Like you can pick 5.
Well, we wouldn't want to pick 5 here because 5 is way over here on the x. This dotted line is the axis of symmetry. Once we get the whole thing graphed, it might make a little bit more sense. Okay?
Oh, and in your book on page 550.
All right. So -1 squared, what is that? We take -1 and square it. We get +1. So 3 times +1.
Is 3.
Yep, that's 3. And then we have 12 times -1 is -12. And then plus 5. So what's 3 minus 12?
Or no. 9.
-9. And -9 plus 5 is -4. So this tells us another point. So now we have the point -1, -4. If we know this point, what other point can we put on there? The one reflected across that line. And then we have 5 points, so we can take it and draw in
How is that?
your parabola.
Oh.
It's symmetrical. See, it's the same side. So like you could fold this in half, and these two lines should line up with each other.
But isn't it like the line has to intersect it twice or whatnot? That's
No, this dashed line, it's always only once, and that's always at the vertex, wherever the vertex is. So that's how we got this first value to be -2. And we always use that as our first value for our x, because then we know where we start for our parabola.
I don't.
We plugged -2 into the equation. We plugged instead of x, we replaced it with -2. And we just simplified it down to get -7. If you plug -2 in every time you see an x up here, and then it's just a matter of simplifying that down, this is then the point -2, -7. Yeah, Alex?
I don't get how you got from -2 to like.
How we got the -2 to start with? Okay, so the -2 to start with we have to start by looking at this formula for your axis of symmetry. That formula never changes. Okay, it's always negative b over 2a. So then we wrote down what our a, b, and c were.
And that b
And-
is always
Yep.
negative.
And the b will always turn negative, so 12 is going to change to say negative 12. And then 2 times a here was 3, so we said 2 times 3, which gave us 6. And then we simplified this down. So negative 12 over 2 times 3 is 6. Negative 12 divided by 6 is our negative 2. So that's where we start off from. Are we getting a little bit better grasp of this?
Yeah.
Okay.
I am.
Those of you who are saying no, I'm going to come work with you guys individually for a while. So meet at this table if you still are just lost. Bring your book. All right? And we are continuing to work on the same thing we've been working on since Tuesday. The same thing, page 550, 22 to 33. Yeah, I can keep this up. I'm just going to hit stop so it doesn't record the whole